Welcome back to the Tomahawk Talk podcast. As always, I'm your main man, Jeb Mays. With me, we have Ben and Jose. No Ryan today. I heard he had some pus coming out from when he got his titties pierced the other day for his birthday. We do have a special guest, Brady Penn. Um, how exactly would I classify your job?
We'll just go with post-game reporter. I'm in the clubhouse, post-game reporter for 680.
You're making a lot of traction on Twitter, especially this year. Having that in with the clubhouse, man. How cool is it to just be able to just get and talk to those guys and kind of get to know them on a personal level?
It's really sick, honestly. Just I kind of was telling you this before everybody got on and before we started, but you get to see different personalities. You get to see like kind of what these guys are like off camera, off the field, like when there's no real eyes watching them. And you kind of get to learn, what makes these guys tick, and just it's very interesting. Sports in general is a great illustrator of this, but so many different personas, so many different backgrounds that are all coming together and, fighting for the same thing. And just to be up close and witnessing them, through the highs and lows. I know this has been a year of a little bit more lows, but it is really cool. And just getting the chance to speak to these guys, even in a quote down year, is not something that I take for granted. It's a really cool opportunity.
I know we're all grown men here, but I still want to ask: is there anybody that you get kind of starstruck by whenever you go into the clubhouse or talk to?
Dan Winkler.
Um, I wouldn't say I wouldn't say starstruck. The other day I was in the Yankee clubhouse and I didn't see Judge. I did go on the field and watch him take BP, which is cool. But in terms of the Braves clubhouse, I think early on I was a little nervous, but I don't know if I was ever necessarily starstruck. I mean, even the first time that I met Ronald when I went down to Gwinnett and talked to him after his rehab start, it was just really, really cool guy. Honestly, was very welcoming to all the media members there. I think he was very happy to be playing baseball again, and for the most part, there's really not been anybody that wasn't cool. So makes it easy to not be nervous or starstruck. And the other thing that kind of makes it easy is I have a background kind of being in press rooms before. I did a bunch of writing for Tennessee football with Sports Illustrated a few years back, and different level of athletics, but kind of got me in that scenario, realizing, you can't be a fan in these places. You have to be a professional and go about your business just like these guys are. So I wouldn't say
Right.
starstruck, but it's definitely cool.
That is we. I know. Me for one. I was when we had Grant on the pod. I was like shaking, hitting the start
Uh,
button. I mean, it's so cool to just be able to kind of talk to these guys and kind of like you said, like get to know them on a personal level and talk to them like that. What is one thing that has kind of surprised you this year? Not being in a full time role per se, but like kind of doing it every day this year.
one thing that surprised me, like, what do you mean, like with the team or just kind of with the day to day of the job? Like,
Yeah, either one.
Um, honestly, I think the most surprising thing to me, which probably shouldn't be that surprising, is like even after a really bad loss, or even, when things don't go their way, like these guys really, you don't really see it affect them. I know there's going to be a sector of Braves Twitter that sees this and it's like, oh, they don't care. They need to care more. Like, it's not that. It's that they're professionals, they go about their business, and they lose and they're like, okay, there's nothing we can do to change the fact that we lost. We'll flush it and get to the next day. And people get tired of the like, PR type quotes of, oh, we just got to get after it tomorrow. But they really mean it. Like these guys truly like they're looking ahead to the next day right after a loss, or they have a bad night but the team wins. They're happy that the team won. Like there's not really any ever sulking of any type in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, like there's 162 of these bad boys. Like you're
Hmm.
gonna have to move on. You're gonna have to flush it. Now, if perchance you start out a season 0-7 and then go 1-9, it's like yeah, you might want to hang your head a little bit on that. All right,
Maybe
because
a
that's
little.
gotta yeah, that's a little much. But not having having 162 ball games is definitely something that you got to sit there and be like, listen, you can't get too low, you can't get too high. This isn't football. You're not going to have 17 games, or in NFL, with 17 games to really just live or die on every single one of them. Like, just take your time, focus, relax. And I think that's really good insight as to how these guys really are in the clubhouse.
Yeah, and definitely just to add on one more thing, like just an example, last night, really tough loss. You blow a 5-0 and a 7-2 lead, and you end up losing with a grand slam. But we go in the clubhouse afterwards, and of course nobody's happy in there. But we go and we talk to Ozzy, and we're kind of just talking about how his swing has started to look better, his bats have started to look better these last few games, and there was no like even after a tough loss like that, he was very willing to talk to us. He was very like, just kind of even keel and was just talking through his approach and just talking hitting with us, even despite a really tough loss like that. And finished off everything he said with, I'm glad that I'm playing well, but we didn't get the win tonight. Now we have to focus on tomorrow. So, like I said, not really. I guess the way I would phrase it is everybody's got a good attitude, and I mean, I will say it's easier to have a good attitude with the money that some of these guys are making too. But
It's really nice to see the guys playing well that are at the bottom of the order. Like, I don't know if you saw it, but I tweeted yesterday, Ozzy, this is the fourth time that Ozzy has had a 2-game stretch where he's had at least 2 homers and 8 RBIs.
really,
And no other Brave has done it more than once. And Marcus Giles in '03, and then I'm blanking. It was 1991.
Jeff
Shortstop in
Blauser.
1991 did it one time.
Blouser.
It might have been Blauser. Yeah, I think it
No, it
was
wasn't
actually Jeff
Belliard.
Blauser.
It was not
No, it
Belliard. I
wasn't
can tell
Raphael.
you
Yeah,
that.
it wasn't Belliard. It was Blauser. But those two guys, Giles and Belliard, or Blauser, only did it once each, and Ozzy's done it 4 times. So, like, Ozzy's a good offensive player. It's really nice to see him swinging it again. Michael Harris as well. Like, really nice to see him swinging it again, picking it up. But just sucks whenever we can't put it all together. Like, are you noticing anything in the clubhouse that's like, when pitching is up, are the hitters pressing, or when the hitters are swinging it well, are the pitchers kind of pressing? Because it just seems kind of how the season's been going so far.
I definitely think there is some pressing, and I think the players would tell you that, especially if they were given some truth serum. But it's I think it's that kind of like you said, they can't all be pieced together. Like it's frustrating for the unit as a whole when there are 3 or 4 guys that will be on a hot stretch and the rest aren't really necessarily pulling their weight. And then once those guys come around, the guys that were hot kind of start to cool down. Like there's not really a lot of cohesion. And then on top of that, you've had injury stuff like Austin just going on the IL last week, obviously missing Ronald for the first 2 months and things of that nature. So I think there's definitely some pressing, but a lot of it's just frustration with the chaos, the chaotic nature of this season and really last season. And honestly, it's crazy. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. We thought that last year was kind of, the worst that it could get for this core. And with the injuries and with game results and all that, this team won 89 games last year. Now we're looking at being top 5 in draft odds right now. And what I would advise for the fan base is to stop hanging your head on each individual loss or getting super high on each win because at this point the statistical likelihood the reporters were even actually saying this to the players kind of mentioning this like the playoff likelihood is just dropping and dropping and dropping and at this point is very very slim. So the approach that I would take if I was a fan watching is to look ahead to 2026. That doesn't mean mail in this year as a fan. It means look for things to encourage you for next year. And I think that Ozzy Albies and Michael Harris this weekend are 2 really good examples of if that continues, things to look forward to for next year. And then testing the lineup of Drake Baldwin and Sean Murphy, one DHing, one catching. That's another thing to really look forward to the rest of the year going into 26.
Well, they
Yeah, I
have been
think
playing
another
better as
thing
of
to
late. They have been playing better as of late. They've been playing watchable baseball, minus the bullpen yesterday, but that, you've been getting closer games.
Did we lose you?
I just missed like the last couple words of that, Jeb.
Oh, I was just saying we've been playing better. There have been closer games. They've been more watchable, minus yesterday with the bullpen blow up, but they've actually been watchable baseball games.
Yes, definitely been competitive.
I was gonna say, you were talking about things looking forward to for the rest of the season, but I think there's a couple things to look forward to for the next 2 weeks. Leading up to the trade deadline too, is if Ozzy is playing well, pretty consistently, and he's really picking it up over these next 2 weeks, do we maybe see Nacho Alvarez get moved at the trade deadline? Do we maybe see, some different pieces get moved here and there that we're not expecting to really make a push or make really a breakthrough for 2026? Is there anything that you've heard or anything that you can tell us? I know that I don't know. You can't tell us everything, but like
Right.
anything you can let us know
Well,
that you've heard or seen.
I've talked to some people, and I think right now the consensus is that Nacho Alvarez will be kept around because he's really young, and I think that if anything, they think that down the stretch this year he could kind of be a guy that you can put at third, you can put at second, and he can be that utility type of dude, kind of like Arcia was in 2022. Honestly, that would be the comparison that I would draw for him there. Um, as for other names to watch that could be wearing a different uniform in 2 weeks, I definitely think you look at the bullpen really heavily. I think Iglesias, Bummer, and Pierce Johnson are all guys that could be moved. And obviously, as we mentioned, Marcel. I think it's if there's anybody that the writing is on the wall for, it's Marcel, and it's all just a matter of if he waives his 10-5 rights. I can't really say all of what I know, but what I'll give on my theory on this isn't backed up by any sources or anything I've heard in the clubhouse or anything, but my theory is that Marcel really did not want to waive those rights, and the Braves are essentially saying, okay, well, ride some pine for 2 weeks and see if you feel the same way. Like,
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Um, last question. I'll quit poking at this, but I don't want to trade this guy because I think he's going to be very, very important to the Braves next year, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. Odds that Sean Murphy gets moved, and what are your thoughts on maybe a package? What would it have to include to come back to Atlanta?
I don't think that Sean is getting traded at least in the season. I think they could look at things or listen to offers in the off season. Don't see it happening in the next couple weeks, but what it would take, obviously, AA moves very quietly. It's not really known what he's thinking ever, but I would say two good prospects, two solid prospects. I'd probably at least two in an organization's top 15 for Murphy is probably what it would take, in my opinion. You're not getting a team's number one prospect for Sean Murphy. You're probably not getting their two, but I think you could get certain organizations' third, fourth guys and somebody else, or some sort of arm that the Braves could use. I think that could be the other angle that they would go for, is an arm with the kind of instability of the rotation. We don't know what the future is going to look like for Ronaldo Lopez. We know we're not going to have AJ Smith-Shawver next year. We don't know what the future is even with Sale. And I really respect and admire what Chris Sale has done in Atlanta, and I hope personally that he is still brave in 2026. But you have to look at things like the age and the durability and the fact that he could be really enticing for a contending team. I think something could happen with him in the offseason. I tend to doubt it. But the point being, I think that an arm is something that the Braves could also be looking for in any Sean Murphy deal. But I don't think he's getting dealt anywhere in season.
I said that was the last thing, and this actually is. So you
No,
made
no,
an
go ahead, bro. I got
sorry,
you.
you made kind of a point there to say in the off season you think they might be moved in the off season. If you're the Braves or Alex Anthopoulos, why do you wait until the off season? Why, if you're going to move somebody, why not move them at the trade deadline? You'll probably, in my opinion, get more out of that out of that player to move them at the trade deadline rather than waiting until the off season when there's not as much demand.
I think a big part of it has to do with Drake Baldwin. And I think it's that we haven't seen a full season of Drake Baldwin, and I think they want to keep testing this experiment of flipping catcher DH between the two of those guys, but B, I don't think you want to put all your chips on the table for Drake Baldwin yet. I think Drake Baldwin's a phenomenal player. I think he's going to be a really good player for the Braves, but you look at the Braves a couple times have gone, all in on a younger guy and it hasn't panned out all the way. Now, I think hopefully this is a blip in the radar for Michael Harris, but he's an example. They hitched their wagon to Michael Harris very early on. There's been some struggles this year. I still think he'll bounce back. But then also, even a guy that's not homegrown, Jared Kelnick, you trade for him, you give him a deal, and obviously it gets sour pretty quickly. So I think that they want to see more of Drake kind of under that tutelage of Sean Murphy or having that safety blanket of Sean Murphy alongside Drake instead of just, all right, Drake, you're the everyday catcher. Go throw yourself in the fire because you got to think about it, they also really don't have a great option if they traded Sean to be the backup catcher to Drake, and they're not going to make a rookie catch every day. James McCann's gone, so I don't know who they would even use for that
Hold
in
on.
that.
You're telling me Sandy Bonds is not a great option?
Hey, you
We
never
have
know. You never know.
we have prime Sandy Leone, aka Sandy Bonds, at Gwinnett right now.
Hey, I have seen Sandy. He rakes for Gwinnett sometimes, so I don't know, but
Sorry, I'll let these other guys get some questions in. I was just wanting to talk about that for just a minute, but see your
Sandy
thoughts.
Bonds. Jose, do you have anything?
I mean, I was just gonna say, like, honestly, um, the way you put it about Drake Baldwin and Sean Murphy makes a lot of sense. Like, the question is always there. Like, why, if you are going to trade Sean Murphy, why not trade him sooner rather than later? Get as much as you can out of him. However, the more time that Drake Baldwin gets with Sean Murphy, the more he can learn from Sean Murphy, who's arguably the best defensive catcher in baseball, if not very close to number one. So,
yeah,
I mean, makes a lot of sense.
no, definitely. I mean, the thing that I think Drake could benefit from the most in terms of learning from Sean is behind the plate, kind of like you just said. Like, it's my understanding that the pitchers on the staff like throwing to Drake Baldwin. They love throwing to Sean Murphy, and they love the way that Sean calls a game, which is to be expected. Like, that is no knock on Drake Baldwin's ability. Drake Baldwin has caught 60 major league games in his career. Sean Murphy's been doing this for a few years, especially with this staff specifically, has been catching them for the last 3 years, and he calls a great game. He's got great picking ability behind the plate. Like, Sean is a better blocker than Drake at this point, and I think that those are two things that, you know, Sean could definitely help Drake with even into next year. I mean, personally, I don't see a point in trading Murphy in the deadline or the offseason. I don't know why some Braves fans are so enamored with trading Sean Murphy. I think a lot of people think that the Braves would get way more than they actually would for him. And I think that honestly, some Braves fans just don't like Sean Murphy because he's not Travis Darno or William Contreras. And you notice a lot of the people that were, kind of just out here championing for Wild Bill, who I love, have not said anything this year because Sean Murphy has been steadily outperforming Contreras this year. And I don't want to compare to guys from outside the organization, but I really think like Sean Murphy gets a really bad beat from a lot of the fan base, and I think he deserves better. And I think that it would be great for the team if they're both here in 2026.
There's another
I
player who
I agree.
plays first base that also deserves better from the fan base, but we'll move past that.
You know what? That I gotta say, like growing up as a Braves fan, like it's always I gotta toe the line on like how I say this because you want to be unbiased. I'm a media member now, but I did grow up a Braves fan, and I won't hide the fact to anybody that growing up, my favorite player was Freddie Freeman. I was a sophomore in college when Freddie Freeman and the guys won the World Series, and I was at the parade and the ceremony inside the stadium, and I saw Freddie. Literally, my first year watching baseball was Freddie Freeman's rookie season. It was really tough to see somebody like that leave the organization, somebody that meant so much to the city, so much to the fan base. And it's easy to kind of have wandering eyes when you see Freddie hitting a grand slam in the World Series or getting a lot more national recognition because he wears Dodger blue. But there was not a better replacement option out there in 300 simulations than Matt Olson. Like, Matt Olson has been awesome. He's made two All-Star games for the team. He finished right there with Freddie in MVP voting in 2023. Like, he's been phenomenal. And you can point fingers at a lot of different things for this year and the struggles of this year, and Matt Olson is absolutely not one of them. Best defensive first baseman in baseball. He's going to hit probably 35 plus again this year, driving 100 runs, walk a bunch. Like, I don't. I just don't get the Braves fan base sometimes. And again, I've been guilty of the comparison sometimes, just off of being such a big Freddie Freeman guy. But Matt Olson's phenomenal.
It is
Yeah, I
completely
mean,
okay to love both.
yeah. And it's not like you replaced Freddie Freeman with Joey Dickfart. Like, you've got one of the best first basemen in the league, and I don't know. We're pro Olson.
I think Matt, honestly, like you can make a really good argument for him over Freddie this year. But if I'm picking a team from scratch, Freddie Freeman is the only first baseman in Major League Baseball that I am picking before Matt Olson. Like at this point in their careers, I'm taking Matt Olson over Bryce Harper. He brings more defensively. They're pretty equal offensively. I'm taking him over Vlad. He's a way better defender, just as good of a hitter. I'm taking him over Alonso. I like Pete Alonso's having a great year. I'm taking Matt Olson over Pete Alonso and what he brings. And it just is what it is. I don't think people realize like even if you want to be super generous to the other guys and say Matt Olson's a top five first baseman, there's a fan base here in Atlanta that is acting like we have, I don't know, Anthony Rizzo out there right now, and it's Matt freaking Olson, dude. Like,
They'd rather have Pedro Alvarez come out of retirement than
exactly,
have
like,
Matt
dude.
Olson.
What
It,
about known first baseman Rafael Devers? I mean,
he's been struggling with San Fran. Have you
yeah,
seen his numbers? Like he's really
they're
below
bad.
average with them. I think Matt. I always like to draw this comparison. Matt suffers from the same thing that another Atlanta Matt Ryan suffered from for years, just off the fact that he wasn't Michael Vick. People hated Matt Ryan just because he wasn't Michael Vick, and Matt Ryan is the best quarterback in the history of the team. So it's kind of the same thing with these Atlanta fans.
Man,
Well, since I mean I won't lie, like I love Sean Murphy. I think one of his downsides is he's too hot and cold. I know we talk about Matt Olson heaters, but Matt still walks, still hits the ball hard, stuff like that. I think Sean Murphy has a tendency to, go on these heaters where he'll hit 6 home runs in a month and then just be ice cold. So I think that has to do with it a lot too. But over the past couple weeks, I really do see them keeping Sean and doing that DH thing next year. Because Ozuna, his contract right now, he's at 16 million, I think, for the year. And Murphy's obviously making the 15, so you're pretty much saving 16 million from a DH.
Yeah, you know, Sean, I think he is a very streaky player, but I think that's also it's a little over magnified in terms of how streaky he is because last year was such a weird year with the injuries and he didn't really
Yeah.
get to get going until the summer. And then at that point, he never really got a rhythm. And that was one thing that they actually told us at the beginning of the year when Sean first came back and he was going on his initial heater where he hit a couple bombs against Philly, hit some against Tampa and Toronto. Snit told us that Sean came to him before the year and was like, "Yo, I need to be better. Last year, that's not me. Like I've put a extreme emphasis on being healthy, ready to go once I get back in here, and it's not going to be the same me that you saw last year. It's going to be more like 2023." And 2023, I think Sean pulled off in the second half. But I think a lot of the team over time outside of Ronald and Matt like got really tired down the stretch in 2023. I think they went two like balls to the wall over the first 120 games like just crushing everyone that they just ran out of gas. I think that's what we saw with Sean. I think that's what we saw a lot of guys in the lineup like Michael Harris and others, Ozzy Albies. So I think that 2024 is more of an outlier for Sean Murphy, and I think that he's closer to. what he was in 2023 as we're seeing this year than he was in 2024. And I think the streakiness by some of the fans can be a little bit overstated, is what I'm
Yeah.
trying to get at here.
Well,
A lot of his.
being streaky is just part of baseball. You're going
Yeah.
to have, I mean,
Yeah.
you're going to fail 7 out of 10 times at least. So, the fact that people are clamoring about that is kind of, eh, I don't want to say it's like a non-ball knower take, but it kind of is at that point because, I mean, guys go through slumps. It's
Hmm.
going to happen. Sean Murphy has put up a WRC plus over 120 every year of his career outside of two, and that was one with Oakland, and then last year with the Braves when he was dealing with oblique injuries.
Hmm.
So he's been a good player. He's been a very good player for a very long time in this league. Is it more that he's just ass, or is he just a good player that was just hurt last year? And I'm leaning more towards he was a good player that just got hurt last year, and that's fine. People should understand that and appreciate what he brings to the club a little bit more than they do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think that another thing that kind of polarizes Sean for a bunch of fans is that it's just different approaches between him and Drake Baldwin. I think you watch Drake Baldwin take an at bat, and he's like a player out of the 2000s era where like he works the count, fouls off a lot of pitches. He's a very professional hitter. He hits the ball where it's pitched. And Sean is not that Sean takes bad at bats, but it's just a different approach. Sean is going up there and he is trying to hit the thing 110 miles an hour every time that he connects. Like it, you don't see a small cut down swing from Sean Murphy. You see a giant swing every time. And I like that. I like having both of those styles, and I especially like having them both in the lineup at the same time, kind of going back to the point of I personally hope that they're both in Atlanta in 2026 because of that. It's you get different different flavors in the lineup, especially with those two.
And you ain't kidding. He does take some absolute donkey hacks whenever he's in the
Mm.
plate, bro. Like it is. I'm surprised he doesn't just do a full 360 in the batter's box a lot
Uh-huh.
of times. He swings so hard.
Well, he's not been
Yeah.
swinging, but so do you get like to sit in a press box or something at the field?
Yeah, so I'll just walk you guys through kind of my daily routine when I go to a game. If it's like a Friday game or if something important's happening, a good example would be when Ronald was making his season debut. I went there early. Ronald had a presser before the game at like 3 o'clock. It was super packed out. Like most press conferences pre and post game have maybe 12 of us in there. That one probably had 40 people in there just to hear what Ronald had to say about being back and the hype. And then we go out after that presser and then after Snitker's presser and we'll go watch batting practice on the field. Just, if you see a guy, stop him and talk, or you have something you want to ask. Like, for example, actually, the other day, I told Aaron Boone, I was like, yo, I just want to make sure you have the proper information. Max Fried is a career 290 hitter in this park. If you need a pinch hitter this weekend, and Aaron Boone is like, oh, he's let me know. Like, I could tell Aaron didn't really have time for my gimmicks, but, anyways, we'll watch batting practice and then go up to the press box, kind of just chill for a little while. Game will start. Watch the game in the press box. We head down. We talk to the starting pitcher. We talk to Snit. We go in the clubhouse and get whatever else, and that's pretty much it. It's a wrap, but it's I mean, shoot, get paid to watch baseball and then go talk to the guys that you've watched on TV for years. So you can't beat it with a stick. Like
How was it seeing that throw from Ronald on Friday?
it was unreal. So me and Barrett Salee, who is our pre and post game radio host, we sit with each other during the game, and we were both like in awe. Like first off, from the angle in the press box, it looked like Cody Bellinger hit that ball to Mars. Like it was super hard hit, and it was super high, and it was like, oh man. And then I see Ronald kind of like camping out underneath, like looking at the wall, but then settling. I'm like, wait, is it staying in? And I see him catch it, and I see him throw, and I'm like, maybe he can make it a close play, like a cool throw. Nah, like. Also, shout out underrated part of the play is Nacho with the deke, acting like a throw wasn't
Yeah.
even coming in, and then also just bop. Uh, it was amazing. I mean, me and Barrett probably watched the replay on like the little MLB research tool like 30 times, and he was like, oh, "We got to hear the Yankees call of it. We got to watch this again." Holy cow! Like, and 2 innings later, we're sitting there and we're like, "How did he make that throw? Like, unbelievable."
It was so funny to me. Ronald reminded me so much of Andrew playing when when Ronald was catching that ball because he was just catching it just so nonchalantly, just like right there, and then just turned around and uncorked one of the best throws I've ever seen in my
With
entire life.
no crow hop, flat footed,
No
like he's
crow.
playing catch in the backyard. Just
And I'm like, and then MLB Twitter account was trying to compare the Fernando
The
Tatis throw
Tatis
that he
one.
had later that
I
night, and I'm
saw that.
like,
I'm like,
what the hell? What the hell is that?
like
That's
okay,
nowhere near.
Nando has a cannon, but that throw was on a bounce. It wasn't the same. He put more into it. Like I'm not big on like the comparison thing, but that did kind of I like kind of made a face at that on Twitter when I saw that. I was like, come on, like Acuna just made the throw of the year. Like that. That was the best throw that I have seen since Yoenis Cespedes in Anaheim like a decade
Yeah,
ago. Like,
yeah. And then I honestly put that Ronald throw, and it might just be my bias as a Braves fan. I put that Ronald throw up there with the Ichiro throw in
oh yeah.
2001 in like his
Uh,
third or fourth game in the major leagues. I mean
hmm
that was unreal.
Yeah, no, that was a absolutely sick throw by Ronnie, and that's another reason. That's another thing that you can just take out of the rest of this year. Forget the win-loss record. Appreciate getting to watch Ronald Acuña Jr. play baseball because I've always known how great of a player Ronald is. Obviously, we've got all these years, 2019, 2021, all these amazing years from Acuña, 2023, obviously, but after watching from May on, land of May on last year, and then the first 2 months this year, how much more like anemic the offense is without Ronald Acuna. The the moment that was really incredible to be there for, I actually have a video of it like on my phone, was the home run on the first pitch against the Padres. Literally, we were in the locker room and before the game, and me and Barrett were just standing there, and I was like, you know, this isn't some bold take because it's Acuna, but I was like, I just feel like he's gonna do something cool tonight. I don't know if it's gonna be like a clutch hit late. I don't know if it's gonna be a leadoff bomb. I don't know what it's gonna be, but I just have a sense that he's gonna do something. And then we go out to batting practice. Ronald literally hitting it to the 25th row in left field, like, and Ronald's not trying to hit gappers in batting practice that day. He is sending everything into the, like, I think at one point we watched Ronnie hit like 9 straight rockets into the stands, and I was like, well, it's pretty clear what his approach is going to be. Like, he's trying to show everybody he's back. And so we get through the top of the first, and they announce Ronald's, neck batting coming up in the bottom of the first inning. Number 13, Ronald Acuña Jr. Everybody goes crazy. And then he gets announced coming in the box. He's got his walk-up music playing, and he gets in a stance, and I start recording. And Barrett is like, lead off bomb, please. And I'm like, yes, please, please. The second, like, I've rewatched the video probably like 50 times on my phone. You hear the crack of the bat, and then you just hear, and it was unbelievable. And I don't even care that we lost that game, but that was just one of the best moments that I've been in attendance for at the ballpark. Like just the accumulation of Ronald missing all that time, the team being without him, the team struggling and needing that spark plug. It was unreal.
Oh yeah,
I
man,
mean,
he's a special player.
going off of what you were saying earlier, I think the best approach we can take as Braves fans the rest of the year is just appreciating the little things, appreciating having Ronald Acuna on the field, seeing him play every day, appreciating Matt Olson in his game every day, Ozzy Albies, Michael Harris's recent resurgence, and seeing what they can do the rest of the year. So
Spencer
honestly,
Strider pitching really well
I was
too.
about to say, even
yeah,
Spencer, he's been dominating ever since that Arizona start.
Yeah,
yeah,
he's been doing very well.
I
like
And
at this
Grant
actually,
point, it's
Holmes.
not.
sorry, Jose.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you got it, bro. I'll go after you.
I was just gonna say, at this point, for me, it's not even about the wins and losses anymore. It's literally about what can the Braves do to set up for 2026 as best as
Exactly.
possible.
Exactly. And I actually, so on Spencer, I talked to him the other night and I just said, hey, 6 weeks ago, we were here in the same room after the Arizona start, and he kind of got knocked around a little. I was like, what has clicked for you ever since that start? And he said, hey, nothing really clicked. It was all a field thing. And the difference is when I had my Tommy John in 2019, we were going into the 2020 season, and there was no season. So I kind of got to do all my rehab stuff off to the side. Didn't have the pressure of rushing back for games and all this other stuff. So I kind of just got to go through it, go through the motions at a good pace. Now this year, I'm kind of still trying to walk through a bunch of rehab stuff and getting right. You know, through mid-season, like throughout the season, I'm trying to, as I go, get right and get back to the way I used to be. And now he's starting to finally feel that. I did the velocity. I don't think will be back until next year. I think that's more of an off-season thing. But what's encouraging for Spencer Strider is, despite not having the 99, 100 mile an hour fastball, sitting at 96, 97, he is locating way better. He is executing his pitches. His slider has started to look really good. He's only given up 3 home runs ever since his fourth start, I believe, was the number I saw the other day. He's only given up 3 long balls, um, and he's looked really, really good over his last starts. And I think the turning point really was that Rockies game, that Saturday game against the Rockies. He struck out 13 or 14 guys. I think he's really been on a roll since then. But it's really encouraging to see Spencer Strider like this, and it definitely gives the Braves a sigh of relief seeing him getting back to his old form. With those rotation uncertainties heading into next year, you at least have that anchor.
I I I think we'll be in the running for the number one pick, right, in the lottery next year if
Yeah.
things continue to go. Is there another holiday?
No, but so I told you before the show, Jeb, that I work at Georgia Tech. I'm biased. I'm a GT guy, but I think Drew Burress would be absolutely awesome to get. I think he'll be right in that top 5 picks, and the appeal of having a hometown guy, even if it wasn't Drew Burress, there's another hometown guy, Trey Phelps with UGA, that's going to be in that running. Them two or Justin LeBron, if you were looking for a position player, those are names to watch if the Braves do end up being in that top 5 range. But again, I'm biased, but I think Drew Burress would be an awesome outfield addition. What, because Profar's a 3-year deal, you could pretty much phase that in perfectly if you pick
Hmm.
him. I know we're looking way ahead right now, but if you ended up with Drew Burress, stick him in left field in 2027, 2028, and you're ready to go. So
Have you had contact with any of is it Souther Scene,
I
the
have not.
Visi?
Apparently, he was in. What's it called? He was in the stadium the other night, but I have not. They haven't brought him in for any pressers or anything like that. If he somehow, I doubt it happens this year, but if he works his way to Gwinnett at some point this year, I would probably find my way down there. But other than that, probably next season when I see him. One guy. Speaking of our minor leagues, real quick, that I do think we could see in Atlanta before the year ends is J.R. Ritchie. So he had his
Yep.
first start in Gwinnett the other night, did pretty well, like 6 innings, 6 Ks, something like that, 5 hits, and I think J.R. Ritchie, especially if the Braves fall out of playoff contention officially and get eliminated, I think we see J.R. Ritchie get some starts because we know the Braves are not afraid to throw these young guys into the fire, even if they haven't had a lot of time or even any time in Gwinnett, like you saw with Schwellenbach. Last year, Schwellenbach had like 100 professional innings. It's like, here you go, buddy. Here's Major League Baseball, and he rose to the challenge. So did the same sort of thing with Strider, and I would not be surprised to see them try it with J.R. Ritchie.
What
Well, my
about
wallet would
Waldrop?
be
Go ahead. What do you?
Uh, I
Jeff.
just said, what about Waldrop? Ben said something about his wallet.
Yeah, man, I was saying my wallet's going to be very happy if J.R. Ritchie gets the call because I have one of his graded autograph cards up in my safe
Hey, there you go.
right above here. So, I would hope he gets called up and does really well. But he's one I'm very excited about. Him and Owen Murphy. Hopefully Owen Murphy can come back healthy after his what was it, Tommy John that he had.
Yeah,
So I don't know if he's back yet or if it's still going to be next year before he comes.
I'm not
But
sure on that either.
regardless, I like both of those guys. Braves pitching. I mean, Blake Burkhalter's been pitching really well in Gwinnett.
Caminiti in the distant
Caminiti's been
future.
doing very
Yeah.
well in Augusta. And then you have Drew Hackenberg, who's still been hurt, but he didn't really have the best start to the year. The Braves have pitching for days, so that's one area of the game that I'm not really super worried about. Jeb, I think you had a question about Hurston.
Yeah, with Waldrop, he's had some struggles in AAA this year too still, but I think that with the way that the Braves are working the rotation with all these injuries, with Joey Wentz and bullpen games and Davis Daniel. I think that that shows you a lot of where the Braves feel Hurston Waldrop is at, and I think that there's not really a lot of trust in the current form of Hurston Waldrop to come up and contribute meaningful appearances to the rotation right now. And that's not to say that it won't happen in the future. Some guys bloom a little bit later, and he still only got picked 2 summers ago. I think we're just kind of like I just said, we're so used to the Braves calling guys up so quickly and seeing them be immediate impact guys like Schwellenbach, like Strider. But right now, I think it's very telling with all of these random guys that the Braves have ended up bringing in and bringing up before Hurston Waldrop to tell you what they think of him.
I think Waldrop's biggest issue, though, and has been his command. I mean, it's been his command since he was at Florida too. Like even
Yep.
there, he was dominant, but he's also facing lesser competition. That splitter can play, not putting it in the exact spot that you want it to be. But I mean, he's got 49 walks in like 85 innings this year in AAA, and he
Yep.
started 16 games. So your innings per start ratio is not very good on top of walking a lot of guys with like a 1.5 whip. I mean, the command has got to come, but that's kind of why I've been a proponent of Hurston becoming a late inning reliever. I don't think he has the not necessarily doesn't have the starter's mentality, but he doesn't have the makeup to be a very good starter at the major league level. Elite reliever could very well be on his way to a great career as a setup, seventh
Yeah.
inning setup guy, ninth inning guy, but I just don't see it as a starter.
I could see him, the guy that I would comp him to if he became a bullpen arm is Jeff Hoffman. I think he could be a lot like
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Hoffman if he came in a relief role later on.
Yeah, yeah. That fastball, it plays off the splitter, but you have to be able to command both of those pitches. And
Exactly.
his fastball is such a average to slightly below average MLB fastball, even throwing it 97 miles an hour. It's kind of flat,
Yeah, it
he doesn't
doesn't
have the
move a
best
lot.
command of
Yeah.
it. So if he can command it, if he can put it where he wants it, then that splitter will just be that much better. And that is his elite pitch. So we'll see. Only time will tell, but I hope he can turn it around.
Most definitely.
I think we saw it too, because didn't he get sent down like the second day of spring training or
Yeah,
It
it
something
was
was
quick.
early
crazy
on,
like
yeah.
that? Yeah.
It was quick.
Jose, do you have anything?
I mean, I pretty much have the same thoughts that Ben had. I feel like Waldrop would be way more effective off of the pen. Um, I wouldn't mind seeing kind of the same approach that the Braves took with Spencer Strider, where he first came up and was in the bullpen, and then once he started being more effective, they moved him to the rotation, if that's the route they ultimately want to get him to. But I mean, I feel like the best course for Hurston Waldrop would probably be seeing how he is as a reliever.
Well, we're at the 45-minute mark, so we can kind of start unwrapping things a little bit.
Can I
Anybody
ask
have
one
any?
more question?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
for
Go ahead.
sure.
Sorry. Did you get on to Bowman's ass about the Didier Fuentes stuff?
Nah, nah. I mean, Bo, he's been doing this a long time, and he's
Yeah.
also been nice to me, so I can't really jump him for anything he chooses to say or not say. I do have a funny story. That it's not related to Bo, but you just reminded me. I was accidentally the person that sparked the whole controversy back in April with Ronald and Kelnick and Brian Snitker. That became a national baseball story. That was me. That was my second homestand on the job, and we all remember that Jared Kelnick watched that ball and pimped it, got thrown out a second, and so we're in the press conference, and I guess this is how you reminded me by mentioning Bo. Bo and Dob and the other guys all ended up sticking up for me on Twitter, but I was in the press conference and I said, "Did you say anything to Jared after watching that ball go off the wall and getting thrown out?" And Snit said, "Yeah, was I supposed to say something? Was I supposed to say a nice hit or what?" And in that moment. I didn't realize that Snit had, not seen what happened, and my mindset was, I'm not winning a back and forth with the manager of our team. They're gonna get rid of me way before they get rid of him. So I just kind of
Yeah.
shrugged. I was like, no, you shouldn't have said anything, man. No, no, no. I didn't even respond. But then I kind of like was just forgot about it. Went on to the next day, the next game or whatever. I went to church before the game the next day, and all of a sudden I see that people are putting that quote out there, and I see Acuna tweet. If it was me, I would have been benched. I was like, oh gosh. And then I I see what's it called? I had a bunch of friends texting me, and they were like, "You're gonna get Snicker fired. Like, what are you doing?" And um, then I see ESPN makes a story about it. The Athletic makes a story about it, and I was like, "My bad, guys. Like, I didn't mean to set that all off in motion." But I asked my boss. I was like, "Is that okay that like I asked that?" And he's like, "Yeah. Like that's a pertinent question of the game. You didn't frame it looking for a certain answer. Like, yeah, the rest of that's not on you. Like the fallout of that is not on you." So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep doing my thing. But this is a very interesting fourth game in my Braves journalism career.
So indirectly, very indirectly, you are the reason that like half of the Braves fan base absolutely despises Jeff Francoeur.
Jeff Francoeur.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, indirectly. And then the funny thing about that is 2 weeks after that, I never even thought about it that way, but 2 weeks after that, I'm in the bathroom and I'm just, I'm taking a leak before the next inning starts, and all of a sudden some guy starts talking next to me. He's like, it was the ninth inning. He goes, "Three more outs, huh?" I'm like, who is talking to me right now while I'm at the urinal? Look up, it's Frenchie. Like I've known the guy for 10 years. And I was like, "Yeah, three more outs, dude. Like, what up, Frenchie?" And I just walked out. I wanted to be like, dude, don't listen to what people are saying on Braves Twitter, man. I still like you. I know you didn't mean it like that, bro, but nah, it was a. I guess you could put it that way. I did indirectly cause that. So Frenchie, if you're somewhere out there watching this, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do you like that. Hey, you're still my dog.
Please tell
I
me you
think
didn't like this wasn't a situation where there was like 5 urinals and you two just
you
stood
came
No,
right
side to
beside you.
no, there's only three, and I was on the right one, and somebody else was already on the left one. So he kind of got
Ah,
pigeonholed into that middle one.
Ah,
So.
unbelievable. I'll tell you what.
that's fucking hilarious. Is it just me, or does it seem like Ronald plays a little bit extra harder when Frenchie's calling a game?
Honestly, maybe I never know who's in the booth. Every now and again I'll see CJ there, or every now and again I'll see Frenchie there. But obviously in the press box, I'm not watching the game on TV, and I don't know who's in there.
Yeah.
So there might be some truth to what you're saying. Might have to go back and research.
Well, just so you know, Frenchie was in the booth today, and Ronald not only made a sliding catch, but he hit a
He hit
That's a
one.
1,000 foot
bomb.
home
Yeah.
run above the batter's eye. So,
Yeah.
and he was in the booth on Friday when Ronald just uncorked one. So yeah, he was calling games, and Ronald does play better whenever he knows.
Frenchie's.
I think
Um,
Ronald, or I'll start with Frenchie. I don't think Frenchie meant anything by that. Kind of like I said, I
No.
think he was more
no.
trying to say that the rest of these guys are all capable. He wasn't trying to say we don't need him, but people obviously took it that way. But I will say with Ronald, one thing that I've come to know about him is Ronald is kind of like Michael Jordan in the sense that he can take anything and turn it into a chip on his shoulder and use it as
Hmm.
motivation to go out there and crush it. So
But you need those guys.
yeah, I'm about to say more power to him. I mean, you see
Yeah.
what he's doing; the results speak for themselves. So Ronald, if you want to take a quote from me or a tweet from me and use that to start, pissing on baseballs, I'll by all means.
Damn it, I need to start talking shit about Ronald on Twitter. I
For
tell you
real.
what.
Hey,
No,
he's
no.
he's watching. He's watching because every time I tweet something good about Ronald Acuña Jr. or anything about him in general, about an hour in, I get a notification liked by Ronald Acuña Jr. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yes, yes, we do
Well,
too.
we
Every
had
once in
a
a while, like we'll tweet something out about Ronald, and we'll see Kelvin Escobar like this, and then
Yeah,
Ronald
Calvin.
Acuna
Yeah,
like this. I'm like, all
Ronald.
right, cool,
Ronald
that's
loves a
awesome.
good. Ronald loves a good name search.
I mean, we glaze him enough, so he
yeah.
he ought to love what we post.
Right.
Well, We can go around the horn. Is there any takeaways or anything that stood out besides the throw that we already said, the home run today, the bullpen blow up from the Yankees series? We'll start with Brady.
I think the takeaway is definitely that, the offense looked better, just like they did in St. Louis. The offense looked good, save for today. And even with today, you had two mammoth blasts from your two best hitters. Um, I think I'm very interested to see what happens with the lineup construction when when Riley comes back, because Snit told us, I believe Friday night, Snit told us Bowman or David O'Brien said, "Hey, we assume that." Actually, it was Ronald that first said he assumed that Riley would take his original post back in the three spot whenever he gets back, and someone relayed that to Snit in his presser afterwards, and Snit said, well, "I don't know about that." He's like, "I kind of like Ronald there. Like I've kind of always envisioned him as that power guy, as that anchor in the lineup, and Austin doesn't care where he hits, but I really like those first three of Profar, Olson, Acuña. So we'll see what happens when Austin gets back, but." The offense is doing really well in a short span of time. I believe 5 games now since Ronald moved into the three spot, and this looked really good. And I've kind of always wondered myself, what kind of like RBI numbers and power numbers can Ronald put up from the three spot? Because in the
Yeah.
leadoff, he's a little bit more worried about trying to get on base, trying to steal some bags. Not as much this year because he's been more selective, obviously coming off the injury. But that could be a really interesting lineup. The vision I see is you got Profar, Olson, Ronald, Austin. You follow that right back up with the two catchers back to back. You got Baldwin and Murph right there. And then you go down to 7, 8, 9, and it's Ozzie Harris and Nick Allen or whoever is playing shortstop next year for the Braves, be it Nick Allen or somebody else. And I think that's a pretty good lineup, especially if Michael Harris continues to correct course and get to what we know he can be. So I think it's really intriguing. That's kind of my big interest moving forward, especially once Austin's back, is does Ronald stay in that three spot, and what does that look like for the rest of the offense?
Yeah. Jose?
Honestly, my big takeaway from the Yankees series, just the offense looking better. Ozzy Albies is looking more like Ozzy Albies. Michael Harris is looking a little bit better. So, honestly, just if they can keep that approach towards the end of the season and especially into next season, I think that's probably the best thing they could do in 2025. So, that'd be my number one takeaway.
Ben?
Um, I guess I'm just going to be a little bit different here, but Joey Wentz and Dane Dunning, really, really solid outings for them this
Yes.
series.
Yes.
Um, they looked really phenomenal, and I know a lot of people on X were not super excited about the Dane Dunning acquisition, but
I
in
thought it was
2020,
fine
yeah, no, I
for.
did too.
Yeah.
Like in 2023, he had 95th percentile fastball run value, which if he can rediscover that in Atlanta, because I mean, Brady especially, like the Braves want guys who have a specific pitch, and they want them to throw that 100% of the time, like Pierce Johnson with his curveball. And if Dane
Yeah.
Dunning's fastball is going to be a good fastball, regardless of velo, um, they're probably going to let him throw that a lot. And I like the sinker, on Dane Dunning. I think it plays pretty well. Um, and he can make a spot start here or there. But I think between him and Joey Wentz, their outings this weekend were phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and Snit told us last night that Wentz is going to get another start, and he was going to get another start regardless of what happened last night. But he said they're going to try and, especially with these injuries, kind of work him up a little bit more, get him some more pitches. And you talk about the specific pitch and to throw it. I will say, if we still see Raisel Iglesias in a Braves uniform in a couple weeks, I would suggest that he not throw any more
Throw the
sliders.
slider. Yeah.
Like,
No, I think that ship has sailed, and Rysel can just throw that pitch on out the door.
I don't understand that with Iggy because like I saw someone tweet that Iglesias has like lost himself millions of dollars by throwing that slider, and it's the truth because that changeup is pretty much always on point, especially when it's located well. Iggy has a plus fastball. I don't know the obsession with the slider, and I really should have asked last night if he called that or if Murphy called it, honestly, because I don't know if whose decision that was to throw the slider, but I think I saw he's given up 5 or 6 home runs just off the slider this year, and it is crazy if you take those out. If you take out those slider home runs, like the one to Trey Turner, the one to Manny Machado, the one to Shohei Ohtani, like how different does Iggy's season look this year? How different do some of these late games look for the Braves?
But in his defense, now the players you just named
Oh
are
yeah, they're
pretty
great.
damn good. They're
Yeah.
pretty damn
They're
good
great,
players.
Yeah. Yeah.
but they're great, which means if you put it on a silver platter, it's not getting missed, and that's what
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
happened. The one I'll say, I do know, Otani. I remember my recall tells me that that was actually a good pitch outside the zone, and Shohei was just Shohei. But
Yeah.
it capped off an 0-7 start, so it made a bunch of people more mad than it would have, and it was all
There was
over
a
the
lot of
MLB
things.
Twitter page like 20 times.
Yeah.
So.
Of
There were a
course.
lot of weird things that went on in those first two series, like Dylan Lee giving up 2 dongs to Jake
The
Cronenworth.
Cronenworth, yeah, the
Yeah,
Cronenworth.
it's like,
Yeah.
come on now, come on.
Well, then
Um,
Cronenworth. Remember, he took Schwelly deep too on that Sunday game.
Yeah.
Cronenworth has the Braves number this year.
Yeah, that dude, I don't like him. He go play
You don't like
second
Cronenworth?
base, whatever. Nah, I mean he's all
I,
right. He's
I
all
like
right.
the fact that he can play like 5 different positions. I've always thought he was a nice, scrappy little player. Like,
He's the Padres version of Jeff McNeil, just kind of aggravating, pisses you
yes,
off
okay,
just
that's a
enough.
good comp. Good comp.
Pisses you off just enough as a Braves fan.
All right, so Brady, I don't know if you'll be able to participate in this, but we're gonna do a little segment we call Off the Raft. So usually when there's a series win, we do Ben's Pool Noodle Series MVP. There was not a series win, so we do a segment called Off the Raft. So this is theoretically the player that is getting kicked off the raft.
You know, I feel like I'm gonna plead the fifth on this one, and I'm gonna use this as my segue to thank you guys for having me on and coming on and talking ball. And it's great to have other people to talk about the Braves with, even as a media member, when they're going through these struggles and kind of hear everybody's different takes. But with that being said, I can't really come on here and speak too negatively on anybody. So I'm
We don't
gonna
blame you.
I'm gonna see my way out. But again, I appreciate all three of you guys, and I've loved interacting with you guys on Twitter. Look forward to continuing doing that, and hopefully coming on here again at some point. And definitely hope I'm on here for better days as well.
Absolutely,
Quick
man. Thank you
question.
so much for joining too.
Of course, of
Can we
course.
get you for the Pool Noodle MVP? So the one you're glazing.
The pool noodle MVP, it's got to be Ronald. I mean, he crushed the ball to center field today.
It's not Ozzy.
Yeah, I'm
It's
gonna
gotta
still go
be-
Ronald.
It's
No,
would have
I'm
to
still
be
going Ronald.
Ozzy.
Just okay. Ozzy had a better series. Ronald had some pretty jaw-dropping peaks this series, and he's Ronald Acuña, so I'm gonna go with him. My other underrated one outside of those two is Michael Harris. Michael had a hit in all
Yes.
3 games this series, and I'll make this last point before I get off. I told Jeb before the show that I talked to Mike the other night, not in the interview room, just went up to him in the clubhouse after the game Friday and asked him about. I don't know if you guys saw my tweet about his stance, but he's brought.
Mhm.
I'm sure you've noticed the stance, but I went back and looked, and it's like the same as his rookie year when he first came up. He's got the hands way more up here than down here like normal, and he pretty much told me that it's helping slow down his decision. Like he feels rushed on the decision to swing with the hands down here and doesn't see the pitch as deep into the tunnel. So with the hands up here, it kind of sacrifices against velocity, but it gives him more time overall to gauge the pitch, I think, from what he was telling me. And we saw some really good at bats from him, and he was really cool to talk to. We just talked hitting for like 10 minutes in the clubhouse after the game, and I I think that Michael is well on his way. So that's my runner up. Acuna is my pool noodle MVP, and that's what I'm going to leave you guys with.
so we call
Hey,
those
we appreciate it,
floaties.
man. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Of
we
course,
appreciate it,
guys.
man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all, and I'll talk to y'all soon. See ya.
All right, thank you, Brady.
Yeah.
Brady Penn. Brady Penn. What a great guy. Fantastic guy. Pretty interactive on Twitter, too. I guess that's my fault for kicking him out, bringing up the off the raft. I'll take that one.
I will say, to piggyback off what he was saying, though, if anybody still listening, having his hands up here instead of down here, it just minimizes the movement, because if you're starting down here, you're still having to load and bring your hands back. But if they're already up here by your helmet, you're just right there. So that way you're not having to think about, a ton of movement in your hands and your head and everything like that, which the less movement, the better. But
yeah. I will message him and clear the air. That way I kind of apologize for putting him in a tough spot. But I am going to try to get him for the Pool Noodle MVP and floaties if we can. So, with that being said, who's our off the raft?
I mean,
gosh.
I gotta go bullpen. I've got to go
bullpen as a whole.
man.
yeah.
Bullpen as a whole. Did you see this tweet that they were like the first? It was like the first team ever where their bullpen pitched like no more than 5 innings, gave up 12 runs. I don't know, some long thing, but it wasn't good. None of it was good, not in the slightest. So yeah, I think we're all in agreement. Bullpen, get your asses out of here.
There isn't really any other answer you can give. The offense was good all weekend.
Till today, really.
Until the Sunday game, like we still had the bomb from Ronnie and from Matt Olson, but overall, like the bullpen was the clear weak part of the Braves game all weekend.
Can we also talk about just how far those home runs were today? Like Ronald hit his on top of the batter's eye, and Matt Olson hit his on top of the chop house.
The chop house.
Like they were launched.
Yeah, they were absolute bombs. So.
You want to know something interesting?
Not really.
We have the same amount of Pool Noodle MVPs as we do off the rafts.
Well, don't we still do off the raft when we do Pool Noodle MVP?
Oh shit! Yeah, that's right.
We do.
Maybe we should fix that for next year.
Yes, I'm saying. I've been saying it since we started it. Yeah.
Okay.
We should only do off the raft. Yeah, we should only do off the raft if they lose the series.
Okay, we'll fix that for next year.
And if they split the series, we don't do either one.
Yeah. That could work.
Who we got next series?
Yeah, Jose, talk to us about the up and coming series, and then we'll get the fuck out of here. We started a little late.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's on me. That's on me and Jose. I'm not taking the full 100% brunt of this.
All right, so we got the Giants coming up the next 3 days. Let me see who the probable pitchers are. Okay, so the Monday game, we have Bryce Elder going, and the Giants have Hayden Birdsong. I feel like he pitched pretty well against us last time we played the Giants.
He's good. He throws
Tuesday
pretty
game,
hard.
He does. Tuesday game, we have Davis Daniel going, and the Giants have Landon. I forgot how to pronounce it.
Landon Roop. Yeah,
Landon Roop. And then Wednesday, it's going to be a day game, 12:15 start. We have Spencer Strider starting against Justin Verlander.
The ghost of Justin Verlander. Well, I'm going a good old solid 2 out of 3. I think the Braves take the Landon Roop game and the Justin Verlander game. And they get absolutely diced up by Hayden Birdsong.
Jose, what do you think?
I could honestly see 2 out of 3, but my heart's just saying 1 out of 3. I feel like we see maybe a bullpen blow up, another game where the offense doesn't do anything, or something like that. I'm gonna go 1 for 3.
going a clean fucking sweep. Old raggedy ass Justin Verlander doesn't have shit on us. I don't even remember the other fucking guy. Loop or something. Roop.
Landon
Yeah,
Roop
get the fuck
and
out of
Hayden
here.
Birdsong.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Hayden Bird shit. Yeah, I'm going clean fucking sweep.
You're going to be changing your tune after he goes 7 innings, 14 Ks, no runs.
He hasn't been that great. He hasn't been that great in the rotation. He was really good in the bullpen, and then they moved him to the rotation, and he has not been that great.
Do you forget what happens? So nasty. Do you forget what happens when the Braves face Rafael Devers? For some reason, we always get Rafael Devers going.
That's not fun. That's not
exciting.
Yeah,
but he sucks. But he sucks against us. Or he did the Boston series. Or at least the game I went to, he like K'd 3 times.
Did he hit like a grand slam against us and like?
Yeah, it was like a walk-off home run too.
Yeah.
Oh, that was in Boston though.
Yeah.
Maybe Rafi just doesn't like playing in Atlanta.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that would work.
Well.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else. If y'all don't.
I don't either.
Jose? Once again, thank you to Brady Penn. That is Brady Penn 21 on X. Give him a follow if you aren't already. He's got some great content, does some good stuff over there. And yeah, so with that being said, we will be back. When does the series end? Wednesday?
Yeah. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Fuck. I don't know. We'll talk about it. We'll be back. You'll know. Yep. We'll be back.
Yep.
We will, we'll catch y'all on the next one.
Peace.
Landed right on the shoulder.
Hawk tour.
Let's do it again.